Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Elite Heat. This one, we're bringing back a big hit series. We did Elite Take about 2 months ago now. You lot loved it. The engagement was through the roof. And also, I'll say this, Kevin, now, listen to us on Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher Radio, Apple, all of it. Those audio platforms, any listen you give us means the world. But
Most
nonetheless,
importantly, I'll say this: if we could get just 5 of you, lovely listeners, just 5, to go on to Spotify, if you have Spotify on your cellular device or on your website, your internet device, whatever, please give us a 5-star rating. If you could do that, that'd be great. That would be very helpful. That helps us get into the algorithm and make great things happen, so we can continue to deliver you great content. So yeah.
Yeah, because we know there's a group of you, especially on YouTube, who will listen to the full show, which is incredible. We really appreciate that. This takes like a minute, 2 minutes. Just give a rating on one of these like Spotify's or any of these platforms. On over there, it shoots us up algorithms and does the world of good for the show. So, Kevin, with that said, unless there's anything else you want to discuss there, I want to start us off with a big sort of position. Okay, Kevin, Money in the Bank is coming up. We did our whole show last week discussing the highs and lows of the concept, whether it's time to retire it, all that. A lot of you listen to that. If you haven't, go check it out. Kevin, Money in the Bank 2023, we need to address the fields in these matches because LA Knight is getting all the publicity about he needs to win the match. He needs to win the match. And, well, I mean, I look at this field, Kevin, he's the only option. Kevin, I'm going to read you. We'll start with the men's one. The men's one's the one I want to focus on. The women's one sort of is what it is, in my opinion. It's fine. This men's one, Kevin, this is Money in the Bank 2023. Ricochet, the guy who's been in a tag team for like a year with Braun Strowman. Shinsuke Nakamura, okay. LA Knight, who's the overwhelming favorite. Either Santos Escobar or Mustafa Ali. I mean, at least Santos Escobar has been in the LWO, I guess. So he's been sort of involved in something a little bit relevant in the past few months, Kevin. We've got Butch or Baron Corbin, and then Riddle or to be announced. So
I assume that's going to be Cody, right?
It has to be. It has to be because, Kevin, those names so far have qualified. Ricochet, sure, he's there to go flying off ladders and do like 730 flips and, risk his own life. I get it, to make the match more fun. But those names I just read, Kevin, that's not good enough. It's just not. LA Knight, we both praised him on many shows. This isn't a LA Knight, so we're not saying that. What we're saying is that it for the Money in the Bank field? And Kevin, I'll throw the question to you now. You were pretty big on this in our last show about retiring the concept or at least changing something big time or just getting rid of it. After hearing that, where do you stand on what I've just read out to you?
Yeah, that just adds fuel to my stance, honestly. Like there's clearly no effort being put into the concept, and that's been clear as day for the last 3 years. And now we're just getting a match full of mid-carders. No disrespect to these guys. Nakamura is out of the people that have qualified, Nakamura is the most legitimate one, as he's been in several main events. He's won a Royal Rumble. He's had a big-time WrestleMania match, but he hasn't done anything of any kind of significance in 5 years. And then you look at Ricochet, makes sense. Ricochet and Santos Escobar, their type of wrestler makes sense when you throw them in there with a good combination of star power and top guys. Those two make sense for a Money in the Bank ladder match. But then, we're looking at Baron Corbin, who's hasn't done anything. But I assume Butch is going to be in, and I assume that Santos Escobar will be in. So I'm going off assumptions here. But I want to talk about LA Knight before I talk about how I feel about this this concept. When you think about LA Knight, right? This guy, he is the betting favorite right now. He's a pretty heavy favorite to win the Money in the Bank briefcase. What has he done? He hasn't been on any kind of pay-per-views. And I know that doesn't really matter. Anybody can get hot at any point in time in wrestling. But this guy, we've literally seen him at Night of Champions. He was in the crowd, hanging out with Saudi children. WrestleMania, he wasn't good enough to be on the show. So I don't know. This is the next top guy.
But Kevin, the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match against Wyndham. This is the thing, it's cool. I love when LA Knight comes down SmackDown and the crowd's into him and he gets good reactions. That's awesome. That's really good. And he's having matches against Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods on SmackDown 35 minutes into the show once they've done the stuff you care about at the start. That's cool. But, you Yeah, and Kevin, is this just what Money in the Bank is now? Is Money in the Bank just? It's never going to be the Cody or the main eventer goes into Money in the Bank with a big stacked All Stars field like 2013, and there's a big time Money in the Bank main event match, and the winner is just already made. Like, is it just going to be this now for the remainder of its tenure? Is going to be mid to lower card wrestlers fighting for the right to earn an opportunity, and the opportunity will probably be at Seth Rollins. Whoever wins is probably isn't going to face Roman. Just going to face Rollins probably. I'd imagine. Like,
Yeah, abolish the concept. It's over. It's over. Put it out of its misery. There's no saving it, really. When you're at a point like I mean, I already beat this to death. They're at a point where they're trying to establish Roman to beat Hogan's title run, and they're trying to establish Seth Rollins with this new world championship. They're not going to have Ricochet just come out of catering, run down with the briefcase, and beat Seth Rollins 3.5 months into his title reign, establishing this new world heavyweight title. So we already know that's not going to lead to anything. Unless Cody is the guy that ends up facing Riddle, Cody wins, Cody gets into the match, and then Cody wins it and then uses the cash in for a SummerSlam match with Roman. That's like really the only thing I could see. Or he holds it and uses it for WrestleMania 40 to face Roman.
yeah.
Other than that, what, you can have LA Knight win, and then he's going to cash in on Austin Theory and win the US title? Forget it. I'm done. I'm over it.
Yeah, and
Move
Kevin
on.
as well. Seth Rollins, what it seems to be now is he's the change. He's something different as world heavyweight champion. Yeah, the thing with Damian Priest on Raw, which is like one of the big things that happened this past week, he's giving more wrestlers a go. It's going to be either an open challenge or a wrestling most weeks having title matches. So when one of the world champions is doing that, it renders this Money in the Bank thing damn near redundant for a lot of these wrestlers. Really, the only purpose in a kayfabe sense, now that Rollins is doing that, which Money in the Bank serves, is the guy who's going to try and get to Roman, who Roman himself said, you need to earn a shot to face me. So Cody is going to need to win it to get to Roman. That's the only thing that makes sense, because in kayfabe, what they're telling us week to week is Rollins is the change. Rollins doesn't do what Roman does. He doesn't sit at home and wrestle once every 3 months in a title match. Rollins is there every week, Kevin. He's wrestling guys who don't get an opportunity. He's wrestling mid-carders. So what's the point in that sense? It's just a match. And the Money in the Bank match for the men will be a great match, as do most of these. The matches will be fun. It's not going to suck. But just the purpose of it, beyond just a fun spectacle on June or July, whatever, Money in the Bank, there's not much else to it at this stage. So I agree with you. My stance is, if it's going to be like this, just get rid of it at this stage. So that's my stance.
Yeah, it's not like they need to stay married to this concept. They could just create a new pay-per-view or bring back one of the many legacy pay-per-views that they own. So, yeah. All right, pal. Are you ready for the next question?
Yeah, Kevin, hit us with it. What's the next question? So that one was all that Money in the Bank. Now, Kevin, over to you.
All right, so we saw Triple H unveil the new Undisputed WWE Universal Championship belt. And we talked about it, we touched on it, and I'll ask you this, let's go in depth a little bit more. What would you rate that new championship belt on a scale of 1 to 10? In terms of just like, I guess the look and the design.
This is such a good question because I know in our last show we gave like initial reactions to this. You were more kind of scathing than me on this. You just came out of the blocks with your strong take, and I'll throw back to you shortly for your kind of follow up with a sort of rating. When I saw that title, my initial reaction was, I like it, from like right away, my split second, which when I say I like it, that's probably like, a 7, an 8 out of 10. But then Roman holds it up. I really get a look at it. I'm really digesting the gold and everything with it. I'm thinking to myself, this is like a 4, 5 out of 10 title. It's nothing new. It's nothing overly flash. Like even that WWE World Heavyweight Championship they introduced a month ago now, that title I'd give a higher rating easily. That's a bit of a different design. It's playing on history a bit. It's a bit creative, a little bit unique. This current title, as you perfectly just bluntly described last time, is the W, just with it's a gold cake icing behind it instead of strawberry shortcake or blueberry shortcake like it has been for all these years, Kevin. So yeah, I'd say the title, I'll be nice before I throw it to you. I'll say 4.5, 5 out of 10. I'll hand the baton to you, Kevin. what would you rate that new undisputed WWE Universal Championship out of 10?
I give it a 3. A flat 3. Like, I was expecting, like, okay, we're gonna get... Well, okay, I'll rewind. I was expecting with the World Heavyweight Championship, oh, we're gonna get something great. It's gonna be a unique, nice championship belt. Something that I'm like, wow, that's cool, that's captivating, that's different. And we got basically the big gold belt with the W drawn on top of it, which is fine. And it's very sparkly and nice. Then with this belt, we get hot mustard, essentially, what we got here. Like,
Hot mustard, that's incredible. Carry on.
It's literally hot mustard. It's golden mustard.
That's disgusting. That's disgusting.
Roman is walking around he's holding up hot mustard, pal, as he comes to the ring. It's ludicrous. It's honestly ludicrous in a lot of ways. Yeah, I mean, they could have done that's what they could have done a little bit better, maybe. It's the same thing as what we saw with the Universal title. It's the same thing. And now I was thinking that I was looking at the 2 championships, and I was thinking about this out loud. I was like, we have to watch these 2 championship belts for at least the next 5 years, minimal. And we could have get like a tribal championship for Roman Reigns.
I know.
Like, whatever. I don't want to bury you even more than I already did.
Could you imagine? And everyone listening to this, put your imagination caps on. Just picture this. I don't know what they call it, the tribal title, the tribal championship, something similar to the Smoking Skull, similar to the Brahma Bull title. You've got, so like maybe like a black backing strap, let's say. The main title plate has like a lei. It's like a red design around it. It's like a lei almost. And the sides of each plate, it's like a red lei. So you can have that sort of really distinctive, character relevant thing to the title. Who knows, like the side plates could have, on one side plate, it's Roman holding like one title to represent the Universal title. The other plate's him holding 2 titles, representing his like dominance with both. God knows what they do in the middle. Hopefully not just a big W, hopefully something a bit creative. Reigns carries that around. And if Roman had something like that, even I, as someone who the last 2 months has complained about how Cody should be the champion and Reigns shouldn't have the belt anymore, I'd be like, well, forget all that. This new title's cool. I'm happy Reigns got to 1,000 because of this new tribal title. If they did that, I'd give like an 8 to a 9 out of 10 if they did something creative like that. I'm sure you'd give a higher rating than a 3. But Kevin, it's just a hot mustard version of the Universal. That is so, I can't unsee that now. Hot mustard. Now whenever I watch Roman Reigns, Joanna White raising this title, I'm going to think it's like hot mustard smeared out at a barbecue. That's how I'm going to view this title.
It's literally
so thank you.
It is. Yeah, no problem, pal. I'm glad I could instill that image into your brain forever. Now, with that being said, in honor of talking about the new Universal Championship, then my next question for you is this, pal. So, would a Triple H Reign of Terror style reign have benefited WWE more than Roman 1000? And what I mean is that, we had some moments where Roman made guys like Cody Rhodes, or he gave us a nice moment like how Triple H gave to Shawn Michaels, where Roman could have done that for Edge at WrestleMania 37.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. So basically, this whole question is centered around. So I did a community post. Basically, I was watching that segment we discussed with Triple H gifting Reigns the championship, and it just felt a lot to me like that when Bischoff gave Triple H the title. Just rewarded him with a title for all his excellence at, in 2002. And then from there, we got 3 straight years of this like dominant run. And really, in the modern era, Kevin, I stand by this. Roman 1000, the best comparison is Triple H's, like we got called the Reign of Terror, but basically just Triple H holding the world title for 3 straight years, dominating the brand. Well, the best part of 3 years, as we know. And the whole question here, the whole thing I was alluding to was, let's say Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 37, let's say Edge pins Daniel Bryan, and Edge has that big moment 10 years to the day after he won the title. It's this epic WrestleMania ending. Then Roman wins it back a month later, let's say. That's an epic moment at the time. It's a very memorable wrestling moment for the WWE. It's this big thing. Reigns gets the title back. No one questions Reigns' dominance. He's still just the champion of the era. Then, let's say, WrestleMania, shenanigans, Jimmy Uso screws Roman or something. Cody has the moment, validates him, yada, yada. Reigns wins it back in the end. And Reigns, throughout the whole 3 years, is just as dominant. But the one caveat, he doesn't have the big Roman 1000, which that's the point of contention here. So to me, Kevin, to answer this question, would the Triple H reign of terror style, where he lost the belt like 3 or 4 times in 3 years, but was the champion of the era, would that benefit WWE more than Roman 1000? I think it would have. Roman 1000, Kevin, I was thinking about this. The wording of this is difficult, but do you feel like Roman 1000 has truly elevated a bunch of wrestlers to legitimate main event status? And you can look at a guy like Jey Uso or Jimmy Uso or Sikoa or Sami Zayn. Many would argue that that's just giving some more shine to like either mid-carders or upper mid-carders and not really making true main eventers. Would you think that's fair?
I definitely think that this Roman 1000 reign has elevated all those guys you mentioned. And I've said this before on previous episodes of Elite Heat. Sami Zayn is a certified main eventer now. Sami Zayn is not going back to the mid-card. It's done. He's a main eventer for life. Off of that storyline with the Bloodline and with Roman. Same with Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso. Either one of them, you could plug them into a main event match right now with Roman Reigns, and it's going to be good. Honestly, those guys, Roman, the Usos, Sami Zayn, Solo Sikoa, they are the cornerstones of WWE right now, along with Cody Rhodes and Bianca Belair and a few other stars. That's what this storyline and this title reign has done for them. And Solo Sikoa is going to be a big star of the future whenever his feud happens with Roman. It's going to be big. Solo's going to go up to another level. He has the look, he has the it, he's got it all. Now, when you look at other guys, if you ask the question like, all right, who else has Roman elevated? I don't really think there's anyone aside from those names that I mentioned that he's elevated. Like, I wouldn't say he elevated Finn Balor, when God himself stopped Finn Balor from defeating Roman Reigns. I definitely don't think he elevated Drew McIntyre. If anything, he just helped contribute to the plummet of Drew McIntyre as a star.
He ruined Drew McIntyre. That's one thing I'll stand by, Kevin. That infamous promo, you will always be number 2. You are not a number 1. I'm better than you, and everyone knows it. I don't watch Raw. You're on it. I don't care. That destroyed Drew McIntyre, and then Reigns beating him in his own home nation. How they did that, and it's just like Drew McIntyre's never been the same. He never will be. So,
as we're speaking about this out loud, let me say this. I don't mean to cut you off, but as we're speaking about this out loud, I see the similarities more and more with the Reign of Terror and with Roman 1000. And people will argue in like 10 years' time, they're gonna be like, "Look, Roman buried Drew McIntyre.
Yeah,
Drew McIntyre would have been a bigger star. I can see it now. I'm manifesting. I can see it 10 years into the future, where people are gonna be really pissed about that, and it's gonna be looked upon as like Roman held down these guys that were not true stars. But here's the caveat, and here's really where the two reigns differ. When Triple H was running wild in the Reign of Terror time frame, there were guys on the roster that were legitimate top guys. Legitimately, you had Chris Jericho, a certified first ballot Hall of Famer. You had Edge, you had Randy Orton, you had Batista, you had Shawn, you had Chris Benoit, and this was just a Raw roster. I'm not even talking SmackDown. You had Eddie Guerrero, you had John Cena on the other side, you had all these guys, RVD, Booker T. All these guys are Hall of Fame talent. Roman is not playing with the same talent field. Let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. Seth Rollins maybe is probably the biggest star that faced Roman one-on-one, aside from the certified legends like Cena and Edge and those guys.
Yeah,
we've been there, done that with Rollins. So Roman beating Rollins is what it is. Drew McIntyre, people are going to say that Drew McIntyre was a bigger star and a bigger deal than he was. People are going to say that in 10 years hindsight. In reality, Drew McIntyre was a mid-card for life guy, and then a bottom of the card guy that got future endeavored, took steroids, came back, and then Vince just wanted to be right about determining him as his guy. Vince wanted to be right so bad that Vince was like, I'm going to make you a champion by any means necessary. So Drew McIntyre in reality is not as good as we as wrestling fans perceive him to be. I'm just calling a spade a spade. I'm calling it like it is.
Kevin Cook. Oh.
So the talent that Triple H had around him, and that's what makes this reign of Triple H so frowned upon, is because the people that there was like legitimate talent that they were just like, oh no, Triple H is the only guy because he's a WWE guy. You know, these guys, they're from WCW, they're from ECW. They're not top guys. So then it was another thing too, being petty. It was like, oh, we gotta have Randy Orton beat Triple H. Oh, damn it. Yeah, you know, we gotta have the youngest champion. Can't be Brock. I don't know. I mean, for me, it's Randy Orton beat Benoit, but whatever. For me, it comes down to the fact that Roman is the top guy. Roman is I don't want to say the only surefire Hall of Famer, because there's a few other guys that are currently on the roster right now. But Roman is like the biggest star, and there's a huge gap between everybody else. And Rollins is here. You know, Rollins is like right there. Cody's not even on that list because Cody went to AEW and got hot. Cody didn't get hot in WWE. Cody was around for 10 years and couldn't get anything to stick. Seth Rollins is the only guy, the WWE homegrown guy, that's right here, right below Roman. And we've seen it already with Rollins. And we're going to see it again. We'll see how his title reign plays out.
I must say, though, that Drew McIntyre, that was the most scathingly honest, real assessment of Drew McIntyre I've ever heard. So I just want to give some credit there. Really, I think when you look at this Roman 1000 and what will probably end up, honestly, after what we've seen the last couple of weeks, I don't even know where this reign is going to end, because it's not going to be this year. Roman will have both that top title until at least the end of 2023. And I think till at least WrestleMania. I don't see him losing it at 40, to be honest. I think they're just going to have him hold it until either he steps away or they're going to have it retire or something like that. And it's going to be held until at least probably SummerSlam 24, I'd say. So there's that. As far as this question, would that have benefited WWE? Really, the main thinking there is from the perspective of the moments and those memorable moments you think of, because as great as the title Roman 1000 reign has been, you've addressed this specifically. You were the one who really would call this out with mainly the Sami Zayn match at the Elimination Chamber. You were big on this. As good as the match is for 20, 25 minutes, as great as it is, you get to the endings. And Kevin, I must say, when I look back on the reign, and when a lot of people look back on the Roman's run, there have been some great matches, but there aren't those matches you look back on as, oh my God, I've got to watch that back. And how matches get that is the moment at the end. You know, you look at Eddie Guerrero and Brock Lesnar with that match, pretty good, great match. But then you get to that ending last few minutes, and then the moment that happened at the end and what happened after, that's where you get everyone go, oh, we've got to watch that back. And the same thing with, you know, the Triple H reign of terror, the Elimination Chamber match at Survivor Series 02. You look at the match, I mean, WrestleMania 20, circumstances aside, that sort of thing. It's moments like that. And in this case, with this question, Kevin, if it's the WrestleMania 37 triple threat with Edge having that moment, if Drew McIntyre gets one over on Roman in Wales and actually wins that match and then drops it back and Reigns carries on, moments like that, Cody at WrestleMania, all that sort of thing, those are like the moments that we'd look back on in this era. You'd go, Roman was the star of the era, but within it, you had that awesome Edge moment, you had that amazing Drew moment, that great Cody moment. Moments really just validate the others, the number twos, the other guys. It would be, this is more so where the question is coming from. So, yeah, I'll take your point, though. The Drew McIntyre thing was scathing. That was you at your absolute podcasting best, pal. That was actually a damn good, ruthless assessment. If you disagree with that, you're wrong. Kevin was bang on there. But yeah, no, I think it's a good question. It's more thought-provoking than anything, because as we've just said, Reigns will hold this title for like 1,500 days probably at this stage. He'll have probably 3 new championship belts with fat hot mustard W's made, and they'll create like 4 new title names for him within the next year. You'll have the undisputed Smoking Skull Tribal Way Universal Championship. You'll have Roman Reigns. And when the bloodline, you think it's done, Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso, they're off. You know, they've given up on Roman. Heyman's losing his love for Roman Reigns. Sikoa's ditched Roman. You'll have Jacob Fatu and a whole new clan of Samoans will join Roman. Then you'll do faction warfare at Survivor Series 2025. You'll have Fatu. You'll have Sikoa, the Usos versus Reigns, and whoever else he can find from the Samoan lineage. And Kevin, this will go for years. And it's going to be, I don't know how it gets looked back on. It's going to play out, but yeah, I saw interesting conversation, all things considered, because Triple H's reign of terror and Roman 1000, it's a much similar thing, I think, to compare.
Yeah, and I'm going to answer the question because I don't think I answered the question in my previous monologue. So I'll say this about the question at hand. I personally don't think that a Reign of Terror style reign for Roman Reigns would have benefited WWE in any way whatsoever. Not at all. If Sami Zayn wins the WWE title in Montreal, that's pretty much no different than when Finn Balor won the belt in 2016 after SummerSlam. It would just be
completely different.
It would be internet fans just crying for something to happen, and WWE being like, "Here you go," and then Sami Zayn wins the belt. And it's like, now what do we do? You know? And then you look at the Drew McIntyre one in 2022. McIntyre spent a year, like over a year, 18 months, like throwing a sword at Jinder Mahal and other Indian men.
Yeah, and that was a year earlier. I'll give you that. I'll give you that one. That was like a year of Baron Corbin, a year of Madcap Moss, a year of Jinder Mahal sword fighting in the Ganges. Like, no.
Yeah, and we saw McIntyre as a top guy. We saw him as a top babyface. He peaked. Yep. 2020 is the year of McIntyre, and that's it. He's going to be a forever upper mid-card guy now. I don't think... I mean, he can, like Rollins did, he can get back to the world title picture, but it doesn't need to be in 2022. It doesn't need to be tomorrow. You know, McIntyre will be fine. He's a solidified cornerstone of WWE. Didn't need the win. Edge is a fair point. You look at Edge winning WrestleMania 37. Winning at WrestleMania 37, that's fair. I understand why they didn't do it. I think it makes sense. Edge just... I think... I don't know Edge, but I think if he wanted to be WWE champion again, I think he would want to be around full-time, and I think he would want to give people the performances of Edge from the past. And I don't think he's capable of doing that. So why put him in that position? Right? You know, it's kind of counterintuitive. You have Edge win the belt at WrestleMania, and then it's like, all right, we're going to drop it to Roman at the next pay-per-view because I can't wrestle the way I did 10 years ago.
Well, because it was 10 years to the day after he retired at 10 years. That was the sort of like why he would have won it. And then
I get it.
The whole thing could have been, as epic as the moment was, Edge isn't that guy. He's a shell of his former self. Roman is the guy for the now, and Roman just he out of rage wins it back and carries on his trajectory. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, as I was gonna say, tie it all together. So you have Edge win. Edge holds the belt for a month, and it's like, okay, so it's counterintuitive to really you have this time now where you have a legendary title reign. You have an era, generation-defining superstar in Roman Reigns. Where now you can sit back 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you can say, wow, Roman did this, Roman did that. Wow, look how cool this was. Look at this match. Look at this storyline. Look at this moment. Roman has given us one of the greatest storylines ever in the Bloodline storyline, one of the greatest factions ever, and now arguably the greatest title reign when it's all said and done. It's probably going to go down as the greatest title reign ever. Why sacrifice that for 3 weeks of Edge holding the title and crying? Edge is still doing everything that Edge wants to do. He's having great matches with Rollins and Finn Balor and AJ Styles, and like if you listen to him talk about his return or wanting to return or what he would do if he could return back on his podcast and in interviews in like 2017-18, he never mentioned winning the world title. He always said, I want to work with Cesaro, I want to work with AJ, I want to have matches with these guys, I want to get in the ring with this guy, I want to wrestle Roman, Daniel Bryan. So he's not interested in winning the title. And yeah, like I said, Roman, he is going to go down as arguably the greatest wrestler to ever hold the world title in WWE. So why sacrifice that for some moments that really at the end of the day are not going to be all that significant?
Interesting. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. We'll leave it there. We'll leave that kettle of fish open. Comment down below your thoughts and respond and all that. Good thought-provoking questions. So Kevin, one more thing about, you mentioned the faction with Roman Reigns, the bloodline. Let's talk Usos. Recently, I mean, after WrestleMania, especially WrestleMania 39, there was a bit of a kind of outcry for this and just a general discussion of this. So I'm just going to ask you the question right away. Are the Usos the greatest of all time? And if not, where do they rank all time amongst tag teams?
They're undeniably, undisputedly top 5 tag team of all time, in my opinion. I think a lot of people hold on to the tag teams of old, like Edge and Christian, the Hardys, the Dudleys, the Hart Foundation, Legion of Doom. No disrespect to them, they're all great tag teams. The Rockers, teams like that. They hold on to them and they're like, no, this is it. This is the end-all be-all of tag team wrestling. And they kind of discredit the Usos and the New Day and the Young Bucks and FTR. But I think those tag teams, like, they're really, from the 2010s, they're the cornerstones of tag team wrestling, and they're some of the greatest tag teams of all time. And I think the Usos is the best of all of them, this generation. So I'll say this, they're the greatest tag team of this generation. I don't even think it's close. Them main eventing WrestleMania solidified it. Jey Uso main eventing matches with Roman Reigns and carrying the Bloodline storyline, and the way that those two guys have been an intricate part of the Bloodline storyline has even elevated their status even more. To compare to the New Day and even like the Young Bucks, those guys, like, what have they done in comparison to that? Have they been the absolute faces of a storyline in their company for 3 years? No, they have not. Have they main evented WrestleMania, the New Day? No, they haven't. The Usos have done it all. And in ring, they're the greatest in ring tag team I think we've ever seen. I think we could say that. I mean, the chemistry, the moveset, the matches they've had, the catalog of matches. They've done it way longer than any of those great tag teams that I mentioned. Probably the Legion of Doom. Probably had like a 10-year run, 15-year run. But other than them, it's the Usos that have done it for longer. And the Bucks, the Young Bucks too, they've been a tag team for like 20 years. That's it. All these other tag teams, Edge and Christian, they were 3 years when they were done. The Hardys, off and on, but they've been single superstars longer than they have been tag teams. The Dudleys, they had a nice 5-year run, 6-year run, including ECW. Nobody's doing it like the Usos. They got the resume, the longevity, the match catalog, the stardom. It's hard to argue that they're not the greatest tag team of all time.
Yep, and then I'll just throw a couple of other names out there for more so old time's sake, and I'll get your thoughts on this. So now I'll answer. So the Road Warriors, I guess the Hart Foundation, maybe the Rockers, like the teams from that sort of era, the 80s, the 90s. Would there be anyone from that sort of era who you'd throw in there as well?
Yeah, the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors. Yeah, I think they're right there. They're in the top 5. And from that time frame, I mean, the Hart Foundation were good. There's Demolition, Rockers, the British Bulldogs, the Rougeau brothers were good. I wouldn't put any of them on that level, honestly. Like, Bret Hart is a singles guy. Bret Hart's not known as a tag team guy. Then you look at the 90s, like, that's the golden era, the late 90s, early 2000s. I think it's the Legion of Doom, the Usos, Edge and Christian, the Hardys, and the Dudleys. I think that's top 5 right there.
Yep, and I'll answer the question by saying this. With the Usos, no tag team unit as a team has ever been this crucial to the top storyline in WWE. That's never happened. Now I'm saying as a tag team because obviously you can talk about Edge and Christian and say, oh, well, Edge was a key part of the Edge and Cena feud and the Ruthless Aggression era and Edge versus The Undertaker and all the things he did, but that was as a singles guy. That wasn't as Edge and Christian. This is the Usos at the top of the card for now. This is the 3rd straight, or really the 4th year, 2020, 21, 22, 23. And it's going to go to 2024 minimum at this rate. So this is like now a half-decade long run just about where these guys who, even prior to this, Kevin, from when they came in, I think, 2008, 9, 10, that sort of time, when they first cracked the WWE, for about a decade-long run from about, 09 through 19, they had a damn good catalog. Like, that as a tag team career is probably top 10 all time by itself there, just with what they did in that time period. But then you take it up another notch and you really elevate yourself up the echelons all time with what they're doing now, Kevin. SmackDowns are being main evented by Uso matches, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, the storyline between the two of them, the dynamic with them and Sikoa, them and Reigns, them and Heyman, them and each other, them and Sami Zayn, them and Owens, all the matches they've had, the 600 and something day title run they had like last year that ended at WrestleMania that you touched on, all the dynamic week to week that's drawing really good ratings on SmackDown. That ratings now, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6 million. The segment they did with Roman 1000, which was heavily about the Usos, drew over 3 million viewers. So the interest and the viewership is there. So the numbers back it up. I think in that regard, Kevin, I'll throw it to you. I think the statement I made there that no tag team as a group's ever been as crucial to the main event of WWE, I think that's fair. Is there anything I'm missing?
Absolutely. No, that's fair. 100%. Yeah. No,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's I can't think of any other.
Maybe, some would say, like Bret and Owen, but then again, like that was different. It wasn't as long-winded as this. This is like 3-4 years now, and I look at it, Kevin, to answer the question.
Bret and Owen were never a tag team.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, and that was just a brotherhood dynamic. It's not even the same as this. These guys have been the best tag team in the world for the best part of 15 years, with Young Bucks and New Day having all runs in there as well, and FTR. But really, the Usos have been just the constant of the era in WWE, especially. So, Kevin, are the Usos the greatest tag team of all time? I'm hard pressed to say they're not, all things considered. I'm trying to remove recency bias from that. But what they've done, what they continue to do now, on the level they're doing it in like the main event, this isn't just a good tag team throwaway portion of the card like it was for them in 2013. This is the main event, and it's happening year after year. So, yeah, they make a damn strong case. And yeah, what do you think, pal?
I think they are, honestly.
Yeah.
And they've been on a red hot run for 8 years since they came back in 2016, like being themselves basically, and showing who they truly are. And yeah, I mean, it's been on fire. All right, next question, pal. So, is the summer of 2023 make or break for AEW? We have a lot of stuff going on. We got the biggest being All in London, 90,000 seat arena. You got CM Punk's return. You got the debut of Collision. There's a lot riding on the future of AEW right now with this. They put all their chips they put all their chips in, literally, for this summer. They're going all in, no pun intended, in London. They've got Collision debuting, a 2-hour primetime show on a Saturday night, being featuring CM Punk as the top guy, the undisputed main attraction of that show. But what does it mean?
Is the summer of 2023 make or break for AEW? That's a tough question, because I mean, you didn't even mention they're doing this Forbidden Door show, which shapes to be probably the best like crossover show they've done.
Okada's gonna be in it, right? No, who was it that challenged Daniel Bryan? Was that Okada?
Okada versus Bryan, and then they're doing Ospreay versus Omega again. Woo. So that they've loaded that, and as far as the audience who watch that, that's a dream show for the ages.
That's gonna be awesome. Bryan versus Okada, I want to watch it now just for that. Forget it.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
So I mean, you look at that, the fact that the week before that, CM Punk Collision, that's going on. You mentioned, I mean, the build to All Out and then All In and everything that's going on there. I mean, MJF's still the champion. There's a bunch going on, and when it comes to them as a company, it's definitely their most important stretch, probably since CM Punk came back in 2021, and before then, their most important stretch since their first year on TV. Honestly, really, this is a big time period for them. There's a solid, between now and All In, solid 2.5-3 month block where they can make some, legacy defining matches, legacy defining moments, company changing, company altering decisions, moments. This is the platform for it. There's a lot going on. We can discuss each one individually in coming weeks, but more so on a general scale, I say this is huge. Like, this block for AEW, I won't say their future depends on this, but for them going from where they are now, where not that they've been in the holding phase, but it's sort of been like, they have the audience they have. They're sort of, they're ticking through shows, they're ticking through events, they're going through it a little bit. It feels like, in my opinion, that AEW's either been going through the motions or just, doing all right for a few months, and for a better part of a year or more now. This is their opportunity, their platform to spring up and really generate interest going forward for the back part of 2023, and maybe get MJF to stay on, maybe get another big signing, or just get their momentum really going. Kevin, do you think that's fair?
I think it is fair, 1,000%. So I think a major talking point for what's going on here with AEW is this. Ticket sales are not looking good. There was another report about the Collision tapings that are going to be in Canada, or the Collision shows that are going to be in Canada. Ticket sales are tanking. Like, this is a big deal, and I really think this Collision show, I really do think it's going to be a deciding factor in the future of AEW. And if this thing underperforms, one, AEW is going to lose a ton of money on booking big venues like the United Center and other venues in Canada that they can't fill up. Two, Warner is going to be like, hey bro, like, we gave you this second live show, we believe in you, but 400,000 people on a Saturday isn't going to cut it. Then on top of that, Tony Khan's paying CM Punk millions, who knows how much millions, and he's drawing 400,000 or 500,000 viewers on a Saturday night. If YouTube clips aren't hitting, Like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, Forbidden Door will probably do 100,000 buys, no problem. All In's gonna go crazy in the UK, do 70,000, 80,000 seats, probably get 200,000, 250,000 buys. All Out will probably do 100,000 buys. That's fine. But what if, like, Collision flops really bad? Like, they cannot afford a Rampage-like flop with Collision being in a 2-hour time slot. And it just doesn't make sense why they would put that on a Saturday night. I don't know who thought that was a great idea. I mean, I get it. You know, Tuesday you got the NHL on TNT. Thursday you got NBA on TNT. Friday is SmackDown. Monday is Raw. Wednesday is Dynamite. When the hell are you going to put a 2-hour show on? I get it. You got no other option. You got to go Saturday night. But you really did all that because CM Punk and Nick and Matt Jackson can't shake hands? Are you kidding me? Like, are you serious? Like, what? Imagine CM Punk going to Vince McMahon in 2012 and be like, "Hey Vince, you know, you're gonna have to put me on SmackDown only and put a roster of my friends on SmackDown and make that a live show on Friday night." Because remember, it wasn't a live show in 2012. You're gonna make that a live show on Friday night. I'm gonna have my boys there because I can't be in the same room as John Cena and I can't shake his hand. Like, it wouldn't happen in WWE. Vince would be like, "All right, bro, see you later. Good day, man."
Yeah, I think you bring up some great points with that because there's a lot of really good that, you know, the ticket sales of All In going to be, you know, probably Forbidden Door. I assume they will get really good buy rates because of like a couple of the marquee matches they've got. Like their audience, the AW audience who loves their product will eat those up, and rightfully so. The matches should be great. That's perfect for them. So you look at, yeah, Forbidden Door, probably All In and All Out pay-per-view buy rates, I'd imagine, should be pretty good, I think. Ticket sales for All In, definitely. It's, above 60,000 now. So that is like a novelty event in the UK. Should be a big hit. And maybe even the first week or two of Collision, I hope ratings would be decent. But really, what we're alluding to, I mean, you mentioned that. It's a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, really, that's going to continue with AEW. It's the dynamic of CM Punk, the top guy is being paid the most, not being able to work with and having to have a whole new show created for him on a Saturday night for 2 hours because he can't get along with the people who run the Wednesday show. That sort of thing, that dynamic, the ticket sales in America, not, you know, ideal. Kevin, I'll ask you this as like a follow-up. Have AEW, particularly really since the pandemic era, spread themselves too thin almost with the content? Because I know when we were both watching this show, like AEW full on, end of 2019, 2020, it's Dynamite, you watch 2 hours and you watch a pay-per-view and you go, I can't get enough AEW. Like, this is really good. There's not that much. I'm not too overexposed. But then it's Dark, it's Elevation, it's Rampage, it's YouTube exclusives, it's BTE. Now it's Collision for 2 hours on a Saturday night. Do you think that's a big deal?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. They spread themselves too thin. They absolutely did. I agree with that. But even still, even with that, like you watch what you watched. You know, the AEW Darks and that stuff's on YouTube. It was made for the diehard of diehard fans. Even still, pre-pandemic, early 2020, it was still fun watching Dynamite. It was still fun watching AEW. Pandemic era wrestling slowed them down a lot. Then they bring Punk back, and we're getting all this exciting stuff with Punk. A lot of exciting stuff. He's the face of the brand. They're doing well. And then it stagnates out. Hangman Page became a less than credible champion. And then after that, Punk holds the championship for a few months, gets injured. Not even a few months, for like a few weeks, gets injured, comes back, wins the belt, loses it, then wins it again. And it's like, oh, okay. Alright, here we are. Then he beats up Nick Jackson and Kenny Omega and a dog and all this stuff going on. And yeah, since that period, like you said, they've really been stale and just kind of going through the motions. I don't know. This is a make or break year. In short, this is a make or break year. AEW, they got to get back on track. They got to figure it out now. With CM Punk coming back, Collision has to be a hit. It has to be. Like the all-in sales is great, and the buy rate's going to be 100,000 regardless if AEW is on TNT or if AEW is exclusively on YouTube. 100,000 people are still going to buy AEW pay-per-views. It doesn't matter what TV network they're on. We're in an era where big media companies are cutting content. They're not making content. They're cutting. They're HBO Max and Amazon and Hulu. They're taking stuff off of the platforms to save money on royalties and stuff. They're taking shows off that aren't doing well. So this is make or break, I think.
Yep. And so one more point with that. Going forward with AEW, as we said, this is the platform, this is the foundation. To me, the main thing, yes, the marquee of CM Punk being back, or maybe they'll bring in a big X star, or that's all great. Maybe, yeah, the shiny new toy, as we talk about Tony Khan's toy box, that's wonderful. But what it is to me is the continuity of the show, the writing, how compelling the stories are week to week. That's why I haven't been watching Dynamite for the longest time now. I don't find the week to week storylines interesting enough. I don't think there's enough going on generally to pique interest. Tony Khan's a great booker. He knows what matches will draw marquee interest. Look at Forbidden Door as the prime example. Just pair guys together. It's a dream match. Amazing. But for Dynamite week to week, and we'll see with Collision, Kevin, what do they do week to week? What are the storylines that hook you, grab you, make you go, I can't miss next week? What's the character development going to be here? That's what's going to be critical for AEW beyond this platform.
Absolutely. All right, last question. It's a doozy. Is Gunther the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time?
Well, Kevin, before I give you the yes or no to that, let's just acknowledge, I'll ask you, you're wrestling historian yourself, you know a lot as far as, the lineage of this stuff. Talk to us, who are the other great Intercontinental Champions?
Well, you got the first ever Intercontinental Champion, Pat Patterson. I think he deserves a mention. Then I would say Macho Man from like 86 to 87. That reign established the belt as like, okay, this is the belt that the next top star wears. Macho Man wore that. Macho Man had that legacy-defining WrestleMania 3 match with Ricky Steamboat. Arguably, not even arguably, the greatest match that the Intercontinental Championship has ever been associated with at any point in time. It's a 5-star match. I don't care what Meltzer has it as. That's a 6-star match. Forget it. Most influential match in wrestling history. So Macho Man's reign, top tier. A1. Honky Tonk Man's reign, not great matches involved with it, but Honky Tonk Man held that belt well. Is a memorable character. Anybody from the generation prior to me is going to know who Honky Tonk Man is, and older. Anybody that grew up in that time frame of wrestling knows Honky Tonk Man. He's an integral figure to their childhood fandom. Then it gets kind of glim. Shawn Michaels' reign is one that comes to mind. He was another one. It's, okay, this is the next guy. He's going to be the Intercontinental Champion off and on for a few years. Then, the match of Razor Ramon, WrestleMania 10, another legacy-defining one for the Intercontinental title. So I would say him and Razor, that whole time frame. Then you're looking at it from there. Got like Austin and Rock kind of played hot potato with it. Triple H had it for a little bit. Nothing really doing until Jericho and like Kurt Angle and Benoit, all those guys were going over the title, like that era. Then in the 2000s, it really became just a prop. I can't think of one title reign that really sticks out from my childhood as a Ruthless Aggression era kid. I remember Carlito had it. Edge and Orton had it when they were on their rise to the top. RVD, had the title for a little while. He probably held it for like 150 days or something, and had a good feud with like Jeff Hardy and with Eddie Guerrero. That's one that maybe sticks out in my mind. And then from there, guys like The Miz holding it in the 2010s. He's probably the guy that everybody will associate with the title from the 2010s. Nothing really, like, not a legendary title run. Like, there wasn't like a point in time where Miz held the title for like 200 days and he was elevating that title to the absolute apex of the card. There was a time frame there where he had matches with Rollins that did pretty well, multi-man matches with him and Finn, and that was pretty good. Monday Night Rollins, that era. Then there's been Gunther, really. So, I don't know. I mean, the case is there. Honestly, the case is there for Gunther as the greatest Intercontinental Champion.
Kevin, I'll answer this question. To me, Gunther's the second greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. The man I put first, you mentioned him. Obviously, you did a really good rundown of the title's whole lineage in about a 3-minute span, which is actually quite good. To me, Randy Savage is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. And he's not even really, like, when you think Randy Savage, like, we did the whole thing with the Kurt Angle bio, and we always do this with the bios. When you think of this all-time great star, what do you think of? People don't say the Intercontinental title. right away with him. They think of, the Miss Elizabeth stuff, the Hogan stuff, him, maybe even some WCW stuff, all this sort of thing with Randy. But I look at that Intercontinental Championship reign from 86 through 87. The significance of that WrestleMania 3 match can't be understated. We've talked about this previously, how that changed wrestling in many ways and changed what that title meant, changed how that style of wrestling was really done. And just generally, like, there's so much importance to that title reign. It was like, 400 and something days from memory. So it had the length, it had the memorable, like, all-time great kind of moment match associated with it, and the star power of the guy who held the title. Obviously, in years that would follow it, Randy Savage would elevate himself from, the upper mid card to like one of the absolute main eventers and stars of the era and defining names. But yeah, to me, I'd say Randy Savage, but I look at a guy like Gunther and what he's done to really save that title. Because as you allude to, Kevin, the 2010s to the IC title, Miz and Ziggler had a good 2-3 months with it at the end of 2016. But really elsewhere, Kevin, as someone who grew up watching this whole 2010s time period with the IC title, it was Cody with bag faces on SmackDown in 2011. It was Shinsuke Nakamura's 8-month-long reign at the end of 2019 and early 2020, where he defended the title 3 times in 8 months. 2 were against The Miz on throwaway matches. I can't forget that. That was horrid. I look at what else is the IC title, Kevin? I'm literally racking my brain right now, trying to think.
There was another Cody run somewhere in there, like 2013, right?
Yep. Wade Barrett held it for a bit. You had
Brian. Brian had a pretty good run before he got hurt.
He got hurt like as soon as he wanted, though.
Did he hold it for like? I thought he held it for like 3 months. I don't remember.
Like a month, 2 months, if that. Kevin, the one I will say, I mean, not the one I will say, this was bad as well. Kevin Owens and Ryback in 2015, like trading it back and forth. They feuded infamously at Night of Champions over a book. Ryback said, Owens, your book is stupid. That was the storyline. So you look at that, what Gunther's done, Gunther, however you say it, to really revitalize this title and make it something of importance. Gunther has made and saved this championship, and this championship is now something to be won. The matches with Sheamus, and especially the Clash at the Castle one, the WrestleMania match, those are like the main matches when you look at this title that in this reign that are going to underpin it. When we look back at Gunther's run in 3 years when he's off main eventing every SmackDown against Brock, and he's had the Brock feud, and he's had the feud with Roman, and he's holding a world title, and we're having debates and elite heat saying that Gunther is Gunther the greatest star of this era. And when we're doing that, Kevin, we're going to look back at this IC title run and go, when he powerbombed Drew McIntyre or powerbombed Sheamus on the back of Drew McIntyre's head at WrestleMania, that was the moment he solidified himself as one of the great champions of all time. But really, Kevin, to me, he's the number 2 greatest of all time. He isn't far off number 1, to be honest. Like, I don't think Randy Savage's run was like cannot be top great, but yeah, they're both all-time great. So that's my stance, Kevin. I'll chuck it to you. Thoughts, talk to us.
I personally don't think anyone will ever top Macho Man solely on the back of that WrestleMania 3 match. Like that's like the 3-pointer of wrestling. Like that just innovated a whole new style of wrestling that people are still going back to and still using as a blueprint for greatness. Gunther, yeah, he's had some 5-star matches. Nice, great, But until Gunther does anything as significant as that WrestleMania 3 match that Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat had, there's no way he could pass Macho Man in my mind. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, there's been a ton of wrestlers that have held the Intercontinental Championship. For Gunther to be second is it's not a bad thing. I mean, if you had to give your top 5 Intercontinental Champions, what would it be?
Well, firstly, Kevin, to give you on that, we've had, 89 different wrestlers have held that championship in the course of its run, which has been 60 odd years now. If I'm giving a top 5 off the top of my head, Savage, I'm saying Jericho, because I just associate Jericho with that title. As much as it pains me to say, I'll say, I don't want to say Miz. This is the thing.
Yeah, I don't either, but he's there, man.
No, I'm not saying Miz, stuff the Miz. I'm saying Shawn. I think what Shawn did in the early 90s. I'm saying Gunther, and I'm going to forget like a couple, but I don't know. I don't know. Honky Tonk, probably. I think of him with the title, but I don't know.
I'm trying to find a relevant article, right? To just like see what people are saying on the internet.
because like Pedro Morales held the title for the most combined days. He held it for nearly 2 years combined. But
Right.
like, I don't think I don't go, yes, Pedro Morales. I'm going to go to the network to watch his stuff. Give me Pedro, pal. I don't think that sort of thing.
I mean, Pedro.
I
Oh, we know who we're not mentioning is Mr. Perfect. Mr.
Oh
Perfect
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
Mr. Perfect's up there. Yeah,
Take out Sean from my list. Put Mr. Perfect in. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Perfect held that title for a long time. The very famous match with Brett. Mr. Perfect was like, yeah, he was that guy that was just like, if there was a secondary world title around in his era, Mr. Perfect would have been that guy that held it.
Yeah.
In the early '90s, late '80s. So yeah,
Razor,
huh?
Razor Ramon.
Yeah, Razor's up there too, definitely. I don't know if I put him top 5.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, my top 5 is it's Macho Man, it's Gunther. I put Mr. Perfect in there. I put Macho Man, and then
Again,
huh?
you put Macho Man at 1 and 4.
No, okay, hold on. No, I'm tired. It's like late my time. Gunther, Macho Man, Gunther. No, I'm distracted. Mr. Perfect. God, I don't want to put Miz. Really don't.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put Honky Tonk Man. Yeah, I'm gonna put Honky Tonk Man. I'm gonna actually. This is from my childhood. It just clicked in my brain. The guy that I associate most with the Intercontinental Championship from my era is Shelton Benjamin. So I'm gonna put Shelton Benjamin up there. Maybe, I don't know. Shelton Benjamin, Jericho, Miz, one of those guys can fight for it. But yeah, I forgot about Shelton Benjamin. I'm gonna put Shelton Benjamin there. Shelton Benjamin's there. He was a great Intercontinental Champion and a great representation of what that belt meant in the mid 2000s. So yeah, I'm gonna go with him.
Shelton Benjamin. Okay.
Yeah, he held the title for actually 244 days.
Pat, what are your ruthless, most brutally honest thoughts on the greatest in-ring technician who's ever held this championship? What are your thoughts on the Ultimate Warrior holding it combined for a year and a half, pal?
Oh, that's phenomenal. Lovely.
Pal, what are your thoughts on Zack Ryder holding the championship?
Oh, that's disgusting.
Pal, what are your ruthless, most vile, vicious thoughts on Kurt Angle, one of the greatest in-ring technicians ever, holding it for 5 weeks?
I think that's an abomination to the championship.
Pal, what are your ruthless thoughts on Daniel Bryan, who had crippling neck and head injury, being brought back in 2015 and being put in a ladder match for this championship? What are your honest thoughts on that?
I'm not gonna give my honest thoughts on that. I'm not even gonna touch that one.
Okay. Yeah. Wade Barrett's held his title 5 times in only 400 days. Damn.
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
Correct.
That's wow. That's incredible.
That's blistering.
Blistering. Pal, it's as blistering as your Drew McIntyre scathing assessment of his career. But yeah. Anyway, pal, that was the last question. So just to clarify, just to recap, I have Gunther as the second greatest champion for the IC title ever. You have him?
Second,
there you go. Nice. So, Kevin, that's been a late take. Another good addition. A bit less volatile than our first one, where I was literally shouting about Cody. This will be a thing whenever we have enough relevant, interesting, like juicy topics and questions. Expect one probably around SummerSlam time, so maybe 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something around there. So there you go, Kevin. Any closing words or?
Well, we made it this far. No, we made it. It's the end of the episode. How does it feel, pal, to have that elite episode of Elite Take in the bag?
It feels great, pal. One thing I do want to say about next week's show. Now, Kevin, this is one you pitched months ago. Money in the Bank 2011. This is going to be, we haven't really done this, I think, but this is going to be like a full retrospective review. And how we're going to do this, I'm just going to preview you guys what we're going to do. This isn't going to be like most retro reviews where it's a match breakdown as far as the moves and the spots. This is what we do. This is Elite. Hey, this is about the significance of the show. This is going to be about how this show changed wrestling and how Money in the Bank 2011 was the most important pay-per-view maybe in the modern era. So we're going to discuss that. Kevin, you've got a point to make, which we'll allude to now regarding CM Punk. Do you want to potentially tease that, or should we keep that hush-hush for next week?
No, I'm going to keep that hush-hush. I'm going to say this, though. Okay. I'm going to make a comparison for one CM Punk and the effect that he's had on the industry. So essentially, this is not just going to be a Money in the Bank 2011 retrospective.
Yeah.
This is gonna be like an ode to CM Punk in a lot of ways. It's gonna be very CM Punk centric. We're gonna go in great detail. By the time we record this, we'll have. Well, no, it's gonna be like a preview for Collision. Collision won't be in the bag yet, so it'll be like a preview for Collision. It'll be around the time frame when Money in the Bank 2011 happened. So it'll be a 12-year retrospective on that. It's gonna be about the pipe bomb. We're gonna do some pipe bomb stuff. Just how that changed the wrestling industry. I'm really excited for it. I mean, the first CM Punk kind of bio that we did is done well for us on the podcast platform, so we're gonna be talking mostly CM Punk here. I mean, we're not gonna be talking about like the undercard matches on that show. Like, what was it? Mark Henry versus Daniel Bryan.
Big show.
Yeah, we're not gonna be talking about that for like 20 minutes. So it's mostly gonna be about CM Punk. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think we'll probably title it something to the effect of CM Punk and the Night That Changed Wrestling Forever, or something like that. Which is going to be, further to that. There'll be, as you said, Money in the Bank, the pipe bomb. This is like CM Punk time of year. You get to like end of June, you hit July. Every year, it's about, it's been 12 years since the pipe bomb, or 2 years ago it was a decade since the pipe bomb, and the decade since Money in the Bank, and that infamous night and few weeks CM Punk's career, and he shot up in wrestling, and how it gets done in the mainstream sense changed. So yeah, that's a big show. Not to say this week wasn't. Every week is with us, pal. We come up with good content for you great listeners every week. We don't have a week off, pal. It's banger after banger, pal. We're like Pav, wrestling gifts. Also, I want to mention this is totally unrelated. There's someone who is at my gym who looks identical. Literally, it's Pav. I was certain. I was like, hey, yo, why is wrestling gifts? I literally thought it was Pav. I'm not, and this isn't like a race. I'm like, that's Pav. And then I was like, wait, never mind. Like, okay, hold on. But yeah, so that quick story time at my gym. This guy goes there like most days I'm there as well, mostly at the same time. I for the first like 3 times I saw him, like, that's wrestling gifts. That is Pav. But turns out, I guess, surprise, surprise, Pav's Canadian, lives there, and this wasn't Pav. So yeah.
Oh. We got to do our life segment, pal. Do you want to do that?
Yes.
Do you want to keep this flowing into a life segment?
Yeah, so I had that moment where I'm thinking, okay, I've just discovered the clone of Pav who's going to my gym. Okay.
Is he slightly shorter than Pav? Like how Kanye's clone is slightly shorter than the real Kanye?
What?
I shouldn't say that. Our channel's about to get nuked. I'm going to edit that out.
Okay. Yeah, no, Kevin, to answer that scathing question, this guy's like, as soon as I saw how like jacked he was, like, nothing to discredit Pav, but this guy was like buff. I'm like, okay, facially this is Pav, body this probably isn't Pav, and the fact that he lives on the outside of the world. So yeah, Kevin, I'll throw it back to you. Please don't ask anything that'll get our podcast taken down here, please.
Yeah. So in theme of the gym. Are you like a solo guy in the gym, or are you the kind of guy that goes in with like 3 or 4 other meatheads and you're just like throwing weights, like yelling, making people uncomfortable, filming TikToks in the middle of the gym? Like,
what do you think the answer to that question is, pal? Which one do you think I fit the mold of more?
I definitely think I don't think you're as ridiculous as I described that example, but I think you're the kind of guy that goes in there with like 2 or 3 people.
I mean, I've done both. I've been that guy who goes with like a group, and then you're there for 2.5 hours, and you get as much work done in 2.5 hours as you could by yourself in 40. Like I've been that type. Where I've never been the one who's filming and got the tripod set up, and you're recording yourself hitting bench press, and just I'm not that guy per se. Personally, I like a good balance. I generally go in what people will call peak hour. Even if I have the option to not, like Kevin today, for instance, got the whole day off. I was thinking, do I go in the morning? No, I'm going to go at like 5, 6, 7-ish when it's like busier, just because it's more social, it's more people, that sort of thing. And that's me going by myself, but there will be people there. So it's a bit of both. It's like I'm going myself, I'm a solo guy, but there is the opportunities and the social stuff there as well. It's not like I'm making plans saying, guys, I'm waking up at 7 a.m. We're going to have 6 of us in the gym, hitting bench press, snorting pre-workout, getting the juicy pumps. That's not what I do, at least. I don't know if you do that, pal. I don't know if in your gym in the States you're doing lines of pre-workout, you're getting yourself all hype, you're doing God knows what. You're showering before workouts, showering after workouts. You're getting your hands with all the lifting, like powder, doing like deadlifts. I don't know what you're like, pal, but for me, I'm not like that, pal. So talk to us. Do you snort pre-workout?
I do not. I don't take any supplements. I don't take protein powder. I don't take pre-workouts. I don't take any of those pills. I don't
Same,
take.
by the way. Same, by the way.
Yeah, I don't take any of that. I'm on 100% natural. Um, what I will say this though, I do like going alone. That's my preference. I don't mind going with people. Usually, if I go with my boys, it turns into a therapy session, and we just start talking a lot and we don't get anything done. But I like going with people that are locked into what I'm trying to do, and that's hard to find. For me, I'm so busy. It's hard for me to find someone that's like on the exact type of time that I'm on, that's trying to cut weight and get more shredded. Like, it's just difficult. Like, I went with like a buddy for a little while last year, but he's trying to bulk up, and I'm trying to cut. So I was just like, hey man, like, no disrespect to you, but we're not. There's no chemistry here. Like, you're trying to bulk, I'm trying to cut. I gotta focus on me, what I need to do, and it's distracting, kind of like. So I guess I broke up with my gym, with my gym bro, I guess, is for lack of a better term, but yeah. So I mean, it's different. It's just different for what everybody's trying to accomplish. And I hate going at peak time. I'm the opposite of you. I hate going. I get out of work around like 2-3 p.m. So that's like perfect time. Go in the gym. I wake up way too early for work to even think about working out. So like, I'm not waking up at 4 a.m. to go bang out bench presses before I'm lifting heavy shit all day at work. Like, I'm good. So I go after. I'll go at peak hours. Like, if I'm with a friend and my friend's like, oh, let's go at like 7 o'clock, I'll go. But I'm not seeking that out. It just depends on the gym too. Like, there's one gym that I have. I'm not gonna say the name of the gym, but there's one chain. I don't know if it's national or if it's just in Florida. I don't really know. But this gym is like the gym now. It's like the culture's gym. You go in there, a lot going on. It's a lot going on. It's packed. There'd be like hot girls everywhere. So I went to this gym with my friend who has a membership to this gym. I don't go to this gym. It's like 7 o'clock. It's literally like a club in there. There's so many people talking. There's loud music. You can't hear yourself think. There's guys approaching girls. There's groups of people just talking, having a good time, watching the Heat game on the TV.
That's incredible. And
I'm doing one of my sets. I'm on the I don't know what it's called, but the machine where you do like the free weights, kind of, where you do like the tricep pull downs, and I don't know. I can't.
Cables?
The cables. Yes, I'm on the cables machine. Yes, and I'm doing the tricep
extensions.
Yes, extensions.
Yeah.
And this like 16-year-old kid is like behind me trying to impress these other girls, like, I guess that he knows from high school, and he's literally like doing the most like exaggerated pull-ups. He's like jumping, like swinging like a monkey and all this. He almost hit me, and my friend turned around, looked at him, and was like, "Yo, can you stop?" Because he knows how he knows how I am. He knows if I say something, I'm getting thrown out the gym. If I say something, like he knows how I am, so he's like, "Hey, can y'all stop? Like, what is wrong with you?" You know?
Oh my god.
And yeah, so just stuff like that goes on at that gym. So I'm not a big fan of those popular gyms. Like, I like a more low-key gym, more of like a privately owned or a smaller chain. Like, I'll sacrifice like quality of equipment right now in the stage that I'm in my workout journey. I'll sacrifice that right now for just peace, basically. That's for lack of a better term.
No, that's great. And so I guess I was going to ask a follow-up of generally, like, what sort of time do you go? Because I thought this is a big thing as well, with like the time people go to the gym. Because like, I'm like an early rise. Like, I can adapt my schedule regardless. Like, if I need to, I'll just wake up and go at like 4:30. I don't care in the morning. I'm not really about that. But the people who are, I want to touch on this. It's a certain type of person, and I'm not someone who's the opposite, who's like not a sloth, but like will lay in bed all day and then wake up and go at like nighttime. I'm not like that. But Kevin, the people, I want to ask you about this. Do you know any of these people? What's your experiences? But the people who wake up at 4 a.m., who 4:30, 5 a.m., get to the gym, you see Instagram stories, you have motivational quotes, you have on my grind, picture it, 5:39 a.m., little caption on their Snapchat story.
I got one. I know someone.
Kevin, I'll ask you about that, because to me, like, I mean, I can do that. even personal time account, I don't like doing it. I think that's a dumb way of going about it because you've got a whole day. You don't need to get your workout done by 5:45 and then be flexing it. And it's like, and now what are you gonna do for the rest of your day? Sit around doing nothing? Like, come on. So Kevin, over to you. Talk to us about the morning, like the absolute early risers, flexing the hustle people.
So I'm gonna tell this one for any local friends of mine that might be watching this because you're gonna know who I'm talking about. So I used to work at Best Buy a number of years ago. Had a manager who is that exact person that you're describing. Literally to the T, that exact person. He would come into work, he would treat Best Buy like it's life or death, like we're in the army. Like he would be coming in like high off pre-workout, like screaming, playing salsa music. Like it's like 9:30 in the morning, playing salsa music, dancing around, hyping everybody up, screaming on the walkie about like whatever numbers need to be hit, the store needs to hit, going giving out motivational speeches to people. Like he would literally come up to me like, "Yo, bro, I get up every morning, 4:30 in the morning. I'm in the gym for 3 hours. Then I come here and I crush it at work. Then I go to the gym after work. And I go back home, go to sleep, do it all over again." And I'm just like, all right, bro, that's nice. Like, glad for you that he showed me his Instagram. He's like, look at this fucking meme I posted, and just be like, you know, like you know, it's typical shit. Like you miss all the shots that you don't take, or whatever.
Yeah. One of about 15 different quotes that gets just like cycled around.
Yeah. Exactly. And he legitimately, he was psycho. He was a psychopath, and it takes a special kind of person to get up every morning and do that at the gym. Granted, he looked great. He was in great shape. He looked half his age. And he picked up a lot of women. There was a lot of he gave out a lot of discounts to a lot of women, and he picked them up. So not outing anybody because that I'm no longer at that company. He's no longer at that company. So I feel like I could tell this story. Hopefully anybody sees this. I hope somebody sees this. One of my people from that time frame. So yeah, that was not the exact guy. I don't know anyone else like that. He's like the main one. Like my ex future mother-in-law, I guess, was like that too. She would get up every morning and she was in great shape and peak condition, and she would run around the neighborhood in her by her house, then get on the treadmill, then go to the gym, and would eat healthy and take all the pre-workout. And I was like, how the hell do you do that? Where do you find the time? You know?
Yeah. Well, because my whole stance to this is that, like, as long as you're healthy and, like, you know, you're fit, that's, like, my view on it, because, like, that's just the extreme, right? Like, people who are like that aren't really fun, you know, because it's disciplined to the point where it's like, okay, we know you go to the gym, we know you at 5:30 a.m. you're hitting bicep curls and you're doing your pull-ups, and we get the pictures of it on social media. We know everyone knows someone like that. I don't have anyone specifically I'm referring to here in my personal experience, but it's all over social media generally. This is just what happens. But a number of people, it's like a flex thing almost. Like many things, it's like, yeah, 6:08 a.m. hit my workout. Let's tackle the day. It's like, I mean, cool, but you know, and like, what am I supposed to get out? Okay, you hit your gym workout at 4:45. Cool,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, you want a medal?
Yeah, like now what? Like okay, I'll go to the gym at 3 in the afternoon, finish at 4:45 in the afternoon. We've both had a workout done the same day. I feel pretty good most of my day because I'm a generally fairly healthy person. So what did you get out of that? Are you trying to guilt trip people on social media? You're trying to flex your hustle? Like what's the purpose? I don't know. But
I don't either. Yeah, the gym is really an interesting thing. The gym is an interesting place, honestly. Like it's really like it's like a cesspool, you know.
The social experiment. It's a weird thing. You see everything there. You know, it depends what gym you go to. Obviously, that one you mentioned where it's literally like a club is hilarious. Like, I'd love to experience something like that, like just once, maybe not all the time. But to me, I don't know. Like, you sound more like the person who prefers when it's like a quieter sort of gym. You just get to go, do your thing, do your cut, you know, get the exercises done and leave in, you know, whatever time best suits you. For me, I go in that environment, I just get bored. I'm like, cool, I can do all these exercises, sure, but it's not like a vibe. I know, like what you mentioned, there's probably a vibe to too much of an extent where it's just like, what are we doing here? Why is this a nightclub? I'm trying to go to the gym.
Yeah, there's no in between. It doesn't exist that I found, at least where I live.
Yeah.
There's no in between. It's either super crazy, hot girls getting approached, getting harassed, and, you know, group conversations and people showing off, or it's like dead and there's nothing going on. It's nothing in between that I found.
So you're telling our listeners that you don't have like some gym talk account where you like record and someone will walk through and you'll blame them and say they're an evil person?
Oh, that's ridiculous. Dumbest thing ever.
Oh my god.
I've yet to encounter any of those females that do that. That
Yeah.
like that baiting on TikTok. That personal sense. Have you been a victim of that or seen it play out or
I'm not a
anything?
victim of that. I mean, I see both genders, well, any gender, like filming and recording exercises from the gym I've been to and the gyms I mainly go to. You also see like dudes like filming their form and stuff. I haven't had the experience with that where it's like, what we've seen on TikTok in previous months where some girl will be filming the like either the hip thrust exercise or the glute exercise or squats, and some dude just innocently walks past, glances for half a second, and then all of a sudden it's viral on TikTok. I haven't experienced anything like that, thankfully. I wish I don't want to ever experience that. But yeah, for me, it's more so just dudes filming their form, and you don't think anything of it. You're like, oh, whatever, just walk around the camera, keep moving to my next exercise. But
Yeah, basically. I haven't really experienced anything like any kind of wild gym fights or confrontations or anything either.
yeah,
Never had anybody like throwing weight or like come up to me like, "Hey man, you took my machine, bro." Like, yeah, like try to get volatile. Yeah, yet to
yeah.
experience that. I hope I'm not manifesting right now.
Have you had people? I've had this before. Usually, like you're like what I do because I mean every gym's different. People are interesting creatures. If I'm using something, I need to go to the bathroom or go. I might use the hand sanitizer. Just generally go for a walk around between sets. I'll either put a drink bottle or a towel or something on my machine, right, to signal that I'm using this. No one else used this, right? This is what you do. I've had times I'll be doing like I'll have a piece of like two bits of equipment or a piece of equipment on the machine. Someone will just wander over, like I leave for like 3 seconds, quite literally. I turn back and you've got like someone just taking my stuff off and just started using it. I looked back over, I was like, why do you think that stuff was there? And so, oh, I'm so sorry. I'll go change my machine. I'm like, well, what do you think you're doing? Like, what? You know? Like you had to have looked over this machine a minute before, seen me using it, seen the stuff still on it, seen that I'm still using it, and then all of a sudden just wander over consciously, grab my stuff, like grab my towel, chuck it on the ground, and just start using it yourself. What are you doing? Like ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It's silly. I've the only thing that I've had similar to that is like one thing I hate is when I'm in the middle of like a machine and somebody will come up and be like, "Hey, can I get on that with you, bro? Like, how many sets you got left? Let me get on that. Let's take turns."
I'm like, I don't know you. Like, like you're some 42-year-old. I don't want to share a machine with you doing chest press. Can we not?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you wait 3 minutes, please, and then you can have it all to yourself, please. Like,
Yeah, like I'm almost done. I got one set left. That's it. Just wait. We don't need to swap sets. You don't need to hop on and then I hop off and no, not doing
yeah.
that.
Also, have you had the thing where I don't know the gyms you go to, but just generally any gym, someone's doing like a PR, like a big lift, like either a deadlift, a squat, not really bench as much, but generally like the first two, squat or like deadlift, and it's like real heavy, and you get like the crowd around, or just generally people are going like you can see like 8, 10, 20 different people are just watching because there's some giant, usually it's either some like Islander, some from Samoa, quite literally like shout out the bloodline pal. Some of these Samoans are freakishly strong. And like you watch this in person and you go, like,
That's impressive. No, I've never seen that.
really? I don't know, because there are two Samoans who go to my gym. I'm pretty sure Samoan. I'd be willing to bet. And I'm like, these are literal tribal chiefs. Like, probably 6'4", jacked as all hell. Like, they'll do like either like a 500-pound like deadlift or like a whatever, some super heavy lift, and you're just there with a sea of mere mortals, a sea of normal people, just like
That's cool. I've never seen that. No, that'd be dope.
no, it's like you're just in amazement because I'm like, I will never get to that stage where like, and I don't plan on it, where I'm just like some world class level weightlifter or like that powerful, and just watching it, you're in awe. Like you're just like, my God,
Yeah, that's
like a
cool.
human can do that.
That's
You
cool.
know,
Yeah, that's cool as
yeah,
hell.
like a human in front of you is lifting like I don't know what color the plates you are. There's like 25 kilo plates. I don't know what that is, like nearly 60-pound plates on each side. and there's like a bunch of them, and then obviously you got the bar, and there's the barbell's like bending because there's that much weight on the ends.
Oh my
And it's
god.
like, Lord.
That's
Like,
scary. That sounds terrifying.
I know, like you're just watching going, wait, this person's my species. Like, what?
Yeah, like they're deadlifting that? That's dangerous. God.
But these dudes are so strong and big that it doesn't even look dangerous. It's just like, oh, okay. Like,
I mean, I'm scared of deadlifting in general. I don't want to hurt myself, you know?
nah, I'm not a fan of deadlifts personally. Squats and bench are better, in my opinion. I don't know. Whatever. They're getting the specifics, but yeah, that's my gym experiences of late, pal. So
There you go. All right, pal. Well, I guess we'll close on that. But yeah, so look at that. It's Jeff Hardy, pal. All right, so we'll
yes,
talk to you
pal.
on the next one. Peace.